I just popped out of my body. I was only there for 6 minutes. I didn't get any impression that there was any kind of punitive sentencing. I got the impression that your life review is judged by you and the version of you that was aware of the plan going in. There's no negative stuff there, like at all. You can't lie. So watching what you did and the review being your impact on others and seeing how you did those things and seeing the person you forgot all about that you had one brief encounter with that you were nasty to and how that led them down some kind of spiral that day and having to feel that like as an objective person that can't lie and spin it, then deeds are going to be accounted for one way or another. And like maybe that's having to come back again.
Still have questions? Well, join me live for Wake Up Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Mountain, 7 p.m. Central, and 8 p.m. Eastern. I'll answer your questions, and you might see a familiar face. Together, we're waking up the collective. Thank you for watching. My guest today is Dr. Anna Stone, who had a near-death experience where she was actually dead clinically on the other side for 6 minutes. So, Anna, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so nice to be here.
Well, I love that you are marrying spirituality with science, and we are definitely going to talk about some of the research you're doing with Dean Radin after your NDE. But in order to get there, I think it's fair to start with the NDE. So I'm going to let you just share it in any way that makes sense.
Right. Well, I was 38 years old, and this was 10 years ago. It was 2016 that I was having, some issues with bleeding. Like my cycle, this was ongoing. And I had been to the doctor a few times and they hadn't said anything was weird. And so, but it just kept going. And it was, I remember the day that it happened, I came out of the bathroom and I joked to my daughter and my then boyfriend that I was slowly bleeding to death. And the next thing I remember is like I was in an ambulance and then in the hospital. And they were like giving me a transfusion. And they had said that I had bled out and I had an ectopic pregnancy rupture. Um, and I didn't know what they were talking about. Like I had no idea. And then I just had this like overwhelming feeling come over me, this panic, I guess you'd say, this sense of every like everything kind of starting to explode in me. It felt like everything was going to pop. Like I was building this pressure up inside me that was just going to like release at some point, and it was really unpleasant. And my mind started to recognize what it was I was dying, and it was a lot. And then right when it got to the point where I was like, I can't deal with this, it was like I just popped out of my body and was just next to the bed, right? And I look around like, what just happened? And I look down and I see myself laying there, and I was like, oh shit, that sucks. And I know exactly what I meant in that moment because I as I speak, I still have like trains of thought going. I've got like 8 streams of consciousness at any given time. My brain never stops. And I was thinking I could have got a few more years out of that. Like I must have, that was stupid. What did I do to get here kind of thing? And then I started to kind of, like I felt like I was, all of a sudden it dawned on me like I wasn't a weightless, like I was starting to lift up, but as that's happening, I guess like I hear the beeping stop and I hear that crash sound, the flatline sound. And then one of the techs said she's crashing, and then they brought out a card and they started to do the CPR and shocking me and stuff. And I watched the process, and I had zero feeling about it. Like I wasn't like, oh no, it was just like at some point I was like my kids. Like at some point I was like my kids, and then immediately I was just like as soon as I thought it, I was 200 miles away in my oldest daughter's college classroom, and she's sitting there taking an exam. And I see her, she's stressing out as usual, and I just like looked and was like, she'll be fine. And then I was like, but what about my little one, And then boom, immediately back to the hospital waiting room where she is with my then partner, and she's playing with Legos, and I'm just like, yeah, she'll be fine. And like very nonchalant about it, like very just matter of fact, I guess. And then at some point, I looked to, I think at my left, and it was just like a white room, like just a room that was just really bright and white. Now the hospital's nowhere near me. I don't know where I went. And I'm by myself. But I'm by myself, but like I'm not. I don't know how to put this. It was like I could feel other people, not people, but soul, whatever, the essence of people around me. Like it was like they were rubbing up against my boundary, but like I could see it all around me, right? Like 360 degrees up and down and behind me. And I was like, how am I seeing like this? And I was like, oh, I don't have bones behind my eyes in my skull. Wait, I don't have a head. Wait, I don't have eyes. And then I started to be like, whoa, like, I had tripped myself out and I was like, what is going on? And I'm just kind of going over this fact that in a I'm not bound by a body. Um, and like I could be bigger or smaller, like I could just expand however I wanted to, if I wanted to. And then at some point I recognized someone off in the distance, like coming towards me. And I got a look and I realized like that's me. Why there's a woman that's coming towards me and she's like me, but she was me, but it's a different version of me. Like she looked just like me, but there was a difference to her that I was aware of, like that I don't see her exactly when I look in the mirror kind of thing, like, but this is probably maybe how I look to other people. I wasn't sure. And she looked at me, um, and she just said one word, and that word was nope. And as soon as she said that word to me, I knew exactly what it meant. I was going back and I was like, how am I going to fit in that? Like now I can see now I'm looking back down and I see me laying in the bed, right? And I'm like, how am I going to fit back in that? Like, I'm so huge. And I got shoved back in through my navel or my belly button, and that hurt like hell. Like it hurt so bad to go back in that way. That's when I saw a tunnel going back in, and then I popped up and jumped off the bed and scared everybody in the hospital room because they had given up. I was still hooked up to a machine. I don't believe there was any indication I was back, like via the machine. I just popped up, and the people in the room like, oh my God, But while this was happening, so I got to backtrack now. So that's what happened. But during that period of time, which was 5 minutes, 58 seconds ish, so 6 minutes, I say, that what happened is I saw them performing CPR me, and when it was time for them to call it, the doctor who was overseeing things said call it, and one of the younger technicians said she's only 38 because they hadn't been working on me very long, right? Like I don't know what the standard time is for that, but it didn't seem like they were doing everything they could, in my opinion. And the doctor said, she's a former junkie. What do you expect? And I remember in that moment, now me, earthly me, would be like, what did you say? Like all mad about it. But in this version of me, I was like, was that necessary? Like very just like, that was unnecessary, just kind of like facts, no emotion with it. So when I came back, I immediately was like, did you call me a junkie? As soon as I could catch my breath, right? Did you call me a junkie? And he just looked at me like, what? And I said, did you call me a junkie? And I was asking that question for a multitude of reasons, but the main one was like, if he says yes to this question, then I have some serious reconciling to do with my belief system because I didn't believe any of this was possible. And I worked in a medical examiner's office when I was younger. I worked with deceased people, and there's times where, there were signs of life a little bit after death, like some movement and stuff like that. But there's no way that those people could hear anything going on. And I was aware that if I heard that while crashed, while like there's no signs of, there's no heartbeat anymore, then we either have a problem with the definition of death or my understanding of what happens after the fact, which was nothing, is absolutely wrong. Either way, it's going to be a problem for me, right? And I was hoping against hope, he was going to say, I don't know what you're talking about. But he did say, I don't know how you could have heard that. Like we called your time. Like, how did you? And I was like, you're not in trouble. I'm not trying to get you in trouble because I could tell like he was concerned about like he knew he shouldn't have said that. Maybe I was going to report him or something. That wasn't it. I did not care. I just needed to know, like, am I crazy? Is that a dream I had? Like, or did you actually say that? Like, and he just apologized to me, which to me is an admission of like him saying that. Right. And then they sent me home, like, just sent me home like about 2 hours maybe later. I was like, cool, thanks. And left me with nobody to talk to about it. And so over the next couple days, I started processing it, and like there was so much that happened in that 6 minutes. I gave you like the rundown, like the timeline, right? But in those 6 minutes, there was things that happened. Like I asked a question to something I wanted the answer to, and it immediately was just imparted on me. Like it was just there. I don't know how to describe that. It's like, it's not seeing or knowing. It's like an understanding. I don't know how else to put it. It's like you get given this somehow like information that allows you to see it, feel it, hear it, touch it, and understand it, like at a level of like you've experienced it personally without actually experiencing it. And so one of the things I'd asked about was like, oh, okay, well, this isn't hell. This definitely doesn't look like some bad place. So I guess reading tarot cards and like, doing magic with candles and stuff when I was a kid isn't something that was held against me, you know? And like immediately I got the answer of like kind of a laugh, like, absolutely what? No, are you a good person? That's what matters. Like, are you good? Did you try to like hurt people? Did you try to be good to people? Like, that was like the understanding I got. And then it made me go, wow, like it's so simple, right? Like the answer to all of the problems that are out there is so simple. It's just like be nice. But humans are so complicated that we think all of our solutions have to be complicated. And therein lies the problem. Someone tells you a very simple solution and people don't want to listen to it because it's too simple. That can't be right. It's too simple. I'm complicated. I have so many layers. But in reality, it is that simple. It's just people can't do it. So which makes it not simple, right? Like, but it was that kind of stuff. Like, I was just like being able to get information, and now I wish I had asked more questions because um there's always that like kind of folklore about like when you die you get all the knowledge in the universe, right? Like I've heard that growing up from church and stuff, and I understood now what they meant by that, like, which was, yeah, but you need to know what to ask. You need to ask the question to get the knowledge. And so if you don't have a mind that is curious and is always going down rabbit holes, that may or may not be fruitful or helpful in any way, shape, or form, right? But like if you're not actively like investigating your world around you, you wouldn't know what to ask, and therefore like your understanding would still be null, right? Like so you have to be able to ask questions, and a lot of people don't want to do that either. They like their answers already as is. So it was one of those things that as a former research scientist of 20 years, I like, this was nonsense. It was fantasy to me. You know, I didn't see any religious icons. I didn't see anything that had been described in any religious text. Well, that I knew of at the time. Since then, I have found that the Kabbalah definitely describes what I went through almost perfectly to a T. And so does some of the Tibetan monk, the text from Tibet, like the navel, going through the navel. That's their belief, that the soul enters the body through the belly button. I did not know that previously. I did not know anything about Adam Kadmon in the Kabbalah, which was, the less being of light, pinpoints of light that could wrap its arms around the earth, because I literally said that to myself in that experience. I could wrap my arms around the planet and hug it if I wanted to. And then I read that later. That's like from, the 14th century. I don't know. It's very old. And I'm like, what? So finding those things has been really elucidating, also helpful so that I know I'm not crazy. But like, yeah, the experience is traumatic because I died. Like I left, I was dead, and from something that I didn't even know was going on in my body. And I was really upset about how okay I was with leaving my kids orphaned. And I really struggled with that because I was like, what? Like, I love my girls so much. Like, why was I just like, it's fine, And at some point of me asking that question to myself, the answer came, and it was because you knew you weren't staying. Like, you knew you were coming back. This was planned. Your life was off rails at that point, and this was a reset. And that's exactly what it was. When I came back, I suddenly had this fierce drive, this like unstoppable drive to become a teacher. And this is something I never had ever seen myself doing. One of my favorite uncle, Terry, he had said, "You'd be a great teacher." And I'm like, "You're crazy." But he was right. I started teaching right after that. I got offered like right away, I got offered a job with no experience teaching, and I have been a teacher ever since. Now I'm a professor, but it was one of those things that changed my life completely. Like before this happened, so I had a drinking problem at the time, and when I came back, I couldn't drink alcohol anymore at all. Like I couldn't drink it, and the doctors were like, I don't know why. I now think I know why. Actually, I do. Before, in some of the previous interviews, I said I didn't know why, and I attributed it to this. But I want to kind of correct the record here, like set the record straight here. Upon doing more research about it, I do think that it had to do with a blood transfusion, eliminating those toxins from my system, and that therefore I wasn't having those like any kind of withdrawals from it because it was already like that had already been taken care of. I can't prove that, and doctors say maybe, but they haven't been definitive on it. But either way, I take it as a big win. So I don't have that issue anymore. It was just cured in 6 minutes, literally. And I, I didn't have any real drive. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. I had been a scientist for 20 years, and that job was just like funding was gone. And, then there was these new requirements by the state to do the same job I've been doing for 20 years, that I would have to like go back into another program to do all of a sudden. So it was like, I was kind of like in a dead, like in a, like in a rut, and I didn't know what to do. And this just like opened up this idea of helping other people via teaching. And it has proven to be like the best decision I've made. It's been the most rewarding. This has been the most rewarding phase of my life by far since that experience. So, but I do
Wow.
keep finding out more things as I continue to talk about it or process it. Like, more bits of information come. It's like when she said nope to me, it's like I feel like it's like she gave me a zip file, and that zip file is like drip fed to me, like opened up, like over time, like the files like expand and then like let out more information. That's the best way I can put it. Um, but yeah, like that. And yeah, I still am like, if I didn't have records to, remind myself like this actually happened, I probably would have already gaslit myself into thinking that it was just a dream. Because it's easier for me to say that, right? It's easier than to say, oh, this happened and I was wrong about everything I thought was true. So,
Well, since you said that you were wrong about everything you thought was true, I thought it was interesting that you said that you wouldn't have believed this because of your former belief system. So I'm curious, what was your former belief system before this happened?
well, it's kind of complicated. So it's not going to make a lot of sense to people, but like, if people that know me totally understand it, it's kind of hard. But like, so I was raised very religiously in a very conservative and very Baptist church, family. And so they were very like, everything's the devil. Anything fun is the devil. And so that to me was very suffocating. But then they also like talks a lot of crap about minorities and things like that in my house. And I just remember like I was 8 years old and I was like, why are you guys saying that kind of stuff? Like, I thought Jesus said to like love your neighbor and the immigrant or the foreigner or whatever. And I got in trouble for saying that. Like, I had to go pick a switch out of the yard and got whooped with it. Like, seriously, because I had the audacity to call them hypocrites, basically. And I remember at that moment, I was like, this is stupid. Like, this place is stupid. The church is dumb. Like, they're saying one thing, doing another. And I never went again after that. And that combined with the whole, like, Left Behind video that they made us watch on a sleepover, like where everyone disappears, but you didn't because you're a sinner. Like, that kind of child abuse shit. I was like, I'm done with this at 8. Like, and I just knew it. It was wrong. Um, that being said, like now fast forward to 12 and like I start dabbling in like witchcraft, like candle magic and stuff. And so I read tarot cards since I was 12. I still do read tarot cards and I am really good at it. And I'm just like, okay, so I believe somehow that works, right? But I don't believe in religion. And so like people think that these things are mutually exclusive, but they're not. Like I can still believe that there's some kind of thing I don't understand out there at work without attributing it to a guy watching me in the sky that's taking tallies of my sins, right? And judging me. But he already knows what I'm supposed to do anyway because he's all knowing, right? Like that makes no like I like logical things, right? So the mystery of like spirituality, that's a mystery and that's fine. But when you're trying to tell me about like religion and here are the facts about it, and none of those things add up for me and make sense, I have too many questions that you can't answer for me. And then when I get to one that you particularly don't like, you yell at me or tell me that I just need to shut up and like not ask these questions. That's a problem for my neurodivergent brain. It has always been. And so it didn't make sense for me. And if I can't make sense out of it, and you're telling me here is how it works, but that doesn't work for me, I can't buy into it, right? So, but then with spirituality or magic stuff, like it was like, okay, well, I don't really know how this works, but it's working. I see proof of it. Unlike religion, where I'm seeing the opposite happening and the opposite acts happening of people suffering and people being treated poorly, but you're all using the name of the Lord, right? Like how? So that for me is hard, right? Like, and that was my belief system, was like, okay, well, I can't say one way or another, so I'm just going to say that it does, nothing exists. It's just, we die and we won't know because we'll just be dead, and that's it. Did I ponder the idea, like, what's the point then of us being here? Of course, but it was just easier to say no. Additionally, my whole life has been plagued by paranormal stuff. Like, every house we lived in growing up had some weird stuff happening in it that was really scary. The adults around me were reacting in ways that were scary, making it scarier, like, because they were scared, but they wouldn't talk to us about it. Like, they would just try to tell us we were imagining things while I'm witnessing them seeing the same things, so like it was really difficult. So there's like a lot of conflicting things there for me. So I just decided to hide behind science and say none of it's real. And that's why I went into science, because it gave me a good framework to say, nope, that's all fake.
So, based on what you understood from your near-death experience, does everybody go to the other side, to heaven, to whatever you want to call it?
I don't know. Like, I only speak for myself. I was only there for 6 minutes. I don't know what happens after 6 minutes even, right? Like, maybe nothing. I don't know. But for those 6 minutes, I didn't get any impression that there was any kind of punitive sentencing. I got the impression that your life review is judged by you and the version of you that was aware of the plan going in. And you are the one that, by your own metric of not being able to lie or deceive yourself, because you cannot do those things there. That is not even a concept that's there. Like, it's not, like, it is what is, and that's it on in that plane of existence, right? Like, there's no negative stuff there. Like, it also, lying would be a negative. You can't lie. So watching what you did, and the review being that of your impact on others, not like your life review. It's like, how did my life impact other people? And seeing how you did those things, and seeing the person you forgot all about, that you had one brief encounter with, that you were nasty to, and how that led them down some kind of spiral that day, and having to see that, like, as an objective person that can't lie and spin it, then no matter, your deeds are going to be accounted for one way or another. And like, maybe that's having to come back again. I don't know. I didn't see that. That's just my take from that experience, like, of what I was kind of understanding at the time. Again, there was a lot going on that it's like a whole bunch of information was just pushed into me, and like, there's no timeline for it, because time isn't real. Like, it's not how we experience it here. Everything's happening all now. Like, all of this is now. I know that doesn't make sense here. It made perfect sense there. And it's really hard to um, explain it in a way that makes sense in a logical fashion, the way our brains demand, right? So, yeah, like, I would say that everybody that crosses over is absolutely going to go back to the state of being that they were before they were here, right? What happens after that, I cannot say, because I didn't stay. I came back. So I don't know.
So, you said that there's a simple part of dying. What's the simple part?
Like, we've done it before a lot. Like, it is a very, so if you've ever done like DMT, there's a feeling that comes over you as that starts to kick in, and it's kind of this like kind of really intense, like panic, like, it's the same feeling I had when I died. Like, it's exactly the same. And so when I did that after I died, I was like, oh my gosh, they got it right. This is right. This is exactly that feeling. It's a recognition of what is occurring. So I don't care if you're medically trained or not. I think any person in this experience would understand that right now I'm dying. That's
Makes
very
sense.
simple, very basic. It's like the most
Makes
basic
sense.
um, knowledge, I think, that we probably possess, but we just don't know it yet.
So, I think it's interesting that you saw and described exactly how you came back into your body, because you described it as a tunnel, which would make sense if you're going in through a very small opening like a belly button. But you did say that you popped out of your body, but you didn't specify where or how you popped out. Do you know?
No, I don't. It was just like, I was just, my whole self was just out, like, just pop, like, it was instant. Uh, and it was like, if I have to like think about it in my mind's eye, it would just be like, like cows, like when you see in a cartoon, like someone die and then their soul come out, like that, I guess. Um, but it was like, so it made me believe that perhaps we die before we leave our body, before we actually die, because like maybe we need to see the process of ourselves not being in the physical form anymore for us to be able to carry that and then move on. Like, I'm not sure, but I definitely know that I feel like I watched myself get flatlined for a reason. Because as soon as I saw that and understood what was going on, that's when I was taken elsewhere. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, no, that makes sense. All right, I'm super curious about this other version of Anna on the other side. So
yeah.
you've described that you were expansive, like large enough that you could put your arms around the earth. So that's big. And you also described that you were large, like how am I going to get back into the body? And you also said that you knew you didn't have bones behind your eyes, so you didn't have all of these human aspects that you have, but you saw Anna and you knew it was Anna. Did you just recognize the soul signature or the frequency, or did you see a figure?
The figure. It was a woman and like a straight woman. And I recently, very recently realized that's not the first time I'd seen her. And I can't believe that this did not click sooner for me. I'm really embarrassed. I'm mad at myself about this one. When I was 13, I had taken a substance that I would never suggest anybody take. It's very bad for you. It's a datura or like Jimson weed. I'm from Central California. That this thing grows out there like crazy. And it was the most intense, crazy psychedelic, like very bad. Like it was not good. Like most people go crazy from it. Like it's called loco weed for a reason. Like that's the slang. But in that trip, I went in, I had dyed my hair black and I had a half mohawk, right? Like, cause I was like in the my goth emo phase. And it looked terrible. Okay, it looked freaking terrible. I just found a picture of it recently and I'm like dying. I look like Robert Smith, but I'm like, like literally from The Cure. It was bad. And everyone was mad at me about it. Like all my family and stuff were like, "What did you do to your hair?" And I just like, whatever, guys. And then on this trip, I went into the bathroom to take a shower, okay, which was a bad idea. And I look in the mirror and I see like a 35-year-old woman staring back at me. And it's me, but it's older me. And she's like, "Oh, honey, what did you do to your hair?" And she just scolded me on my hair. And I was like, "Ah, that's old me, gross." And I take a washcloth and threw it at the mirror and I ran out of there because I was like, I don't want to deal with this. That was her, like 100%. Like that was the same person I saw. And I was just like, damn, she was with me then too. Like I was probably close to death at that point because that stuff was so toxic. And I was thinking about that recently, probably a couple months ago, and I was like, oh my gosh, I had seen her before that one time, right? Like, when I did this really stupid thing, I knew it was me, but it was like I could tell I know exactly what it is. It's the version of me that's experienced all of the things that in all of the timelines, like all of the possibilities. Like that's why the wrinkles on her face were a bit different. That's why her like essence, I guess, was a bit different, is because she's been through everything I went through and then some, like an additional bad and additional good, like all of it. She understands all of that. Um, and it was me. It's me. That was like the perfect version of me up there somewhere that I guess we're tethered to. Maybe I'm not sure how that works, but I know that for sure. I know it sounds really silly, and I thought so too. I was like, this what like me like what's going on here? But then again, when you're going to researching spirituality and you start to read the old text, it says like we are aspects of the divine ourselves. Like we are parts of each one of us is a spark. And like, so why not? Maybe that is the version of me that is the God part, like I'm not sure. But it's something above me, definitely, literally and figuratively, that has all of that. Like, I think it's who I talk to in my head when I argue with myself about things that I'm supposed to do and I don't want to do them. And I have a argument in my own head and you know what I mean? I don't know how, but like, I talk to myself a lot and sometimes I will argue with myself and it's like, why am I arguing with myself? Because it's telling me to do something I don't want to do, but I know I need to. And so like, I feel like that's what I talk to. And I think that's also what I talk to when I do readings for people or tarot cards. I think I'm getting it from there. Like I do believe that. I don't think it's a spirit guide. I don't think it's a demon. I know that it's the version of me that has access to all of the things.
Yeah,
So
I don't think that that's stupid at all. I think that that makes so much sense. And you are not the first person, Anna, who's described something like this. Would you go as far as to put a label on it and call it your higher self?
yeah, that's what I say. For simplicity, like to make it simple. Yeah. I don't really know what that even means. I'm just using a term that's used widely right now.
Right.
But
Well, I
I
think it
guess it
helps us
encompasses all
understand,
that.
right?
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's more than that, right? But again, we don't have language to
Right.
properly just like when I say like, oh, I hear things. Well, it's not always hearing. It's also sometimes it's seeing, or just like just given. It's just given to me. I don't even know how to the mode of transportation that it reaches me. I'm not sure, but I have an idea, so I use those ideas. So yeah, higher self works here. Yeah, I mean, again, that's why I say it's kind of silly because that's such a hot topic word, right? Like that's such a hot button word. Everyone's using it. Sounds real cliche, and so for me, it's kind of hard for me to have to use that term because I feel like then it just kind of gets thrown out credible wise, because everyone says that, but it's the best thing I got. It's the only word I have that comes
Well, why
close, right?
can't we look at it a little bit differently? Because people who are here on this channel are going through something in their lives. A lot of times they've lost somebody really significant. They're
Yeah.
trying to figure out, did my loved one end? Are they still in existence? Are they still around me? Or maybe they're going through some health crisis or a health crisis of a loved one, and they're looking for answers because I think public speaking and death is still, those two are the most feared experiences on the planet. And so, what if by describing this, using a word that people can grasp onto as they're going through these awakenings? I think it's beautiful to use that word.
See, like this is why I like doing these interviews because I get perspective, right? So for me, I kind of always against mainstream. I've always been that way. So I try to like just
No, I couldn't see that at all with you.
it's an innate thing in my personality. I don't know why. But it's just one of those things where, but you're right, that is true. And like, if there are people, that are going through that, like I have the only reason I would fear death now is because I want to see my children grow up and I just want to see the things that they do. It's not about the process of that anymore. That is not a problem for me. It's just about the things I feel like I'd miss out on. But then at the same time, I don't know that I would miss out on it. I don't know. I think that I would still be privy to that. Because again, quantum entanglement explains a lot of things now, right? So those girls are part of me always. And so it doesn't matter through time, space, doesn't matter. So I think that regardless, you'd still be able to experience it. Maybe just not the person here would know, but the person on the other side definitely, I think, all indicators say yes, and they're not gone. Like my personality was still intact 100%. That I think that is before I said, oh shit, that sucks. No, I said, oh shit, that sucks. And then right after that, I was like, oh crap, my personality is still here. Like I said that to myself. Like I literally made that comment in my head. Well, not my, you know what I mean? I made that comment to myself, not in my head because I didn't have one, but like that was something that I was like, oh, cool. I didn't like dissolve into just like the ether, right? Like, and just become part of the like molecular structure or something. I'm actually still me with my memories intact and my experiences intact and my snarky, sarcastic attitude intact, which is funny.
Which I love about you.
Yeah.
So,
I just live
hey,
like, what? It's
since
crazy.
you're a professor and you work with teaching and you love simplicity, can you please explain to us in a way that we could understand it what quantum entanglement is?
Okay, so quantum entanglement is, well, there's a couple different ways to put it, but I like to think of it as I'll give one example that most people can relate to. A mother has a child. Okay. So that baby comes from a cell in her body that's connected to another cell from her partner's body, right? And that cell splits apart and becomes a new person. That person grows inside the mother for those 9, 10 months, right, of gestation and is literally corded to her, right? Corded. Like there's a literal organ that develops with the mom during pregnancy just for this purpose of nourishment of the baby, right? And then it's cut, but it's not actually cut. Like it's cut physically, but that cord still remains. All of the genetic material from every child that mother's had is carried with her for her lifetime, and as is all of her genetic information is carried with the child in the mitochondria for the child's lifetime, right? So mitochondrial DNA, we all know that that's a thing, right? So it is that quantum entanglement means that no matter how far across time or space, that if something is impacted on one side, it impacts the other. So when your mom knows something's wrong with you without you saying anything, that's why. Because there is a connection that does not rely on just close or proximity. It is forever. It's a forever connection. And so that's how we know when our kids are up to something. That's how we know when something's happened to someone we care about or we love. We have that feeling. And because they are feeling it, therefore we feel it. They're having panic, therefore we start to have panic. It is the most simple terms, like it's just the gut feeling you get. That is quantum entanglement. That's what it is. And that also ties into non-locality too. It doesn't matter where it is. It doesn't, time and space doesn't impede it. It's just a thing that it's connected to. So there will always, it's a cause and effect, right? Like it's like the cause and effect, and it travels through the medium of time space, and it reaches both parties at the same time. So there's tons of stories. You could ask anyone in your family. I guarantee you someone in your family has had an experience where they have known something before they knew it, and they don't know how they knew it. And that's why it's quantum entanglement.
Beautiful. That was great. I'm so glad that you explained that. So you come
Nerd.
out of this, what's that?
I'm a nerd, sorry. Yeah.
No, you're not. I think it's amazing. So you come out of this experience, you realize that all the beliefs that you've had are not part of what your experience was, and that you were not necessarily in the best place with the alcohol. And now you come back and now you don't want to drink, and everything is blown up in your mind with what you believed. How in the world did you process that after you came out of that experience?
Yeah, that's hard. So I was married at the time, and he didn't believe me. Like despite the record, like he was at the hospital, and he knew what happened, and he said it was just my neurons misfiring. And I was like, okay, okay. So that would be fine, but for the fact that I heard what the doctor said about me. How are you know me, you know I don't believe in this stuff. Why are you not listening to what I'm saying to you right now? And he just dismissed it. I divorced him months later. Like literally, I was like, I can't do this. I started with that. Like I started with starting to weed out the people in my life that were causing chaos or like bringing like negative energy into me, because I started to recognize that like energy kind of commingles with other energy, and if you're around people that are negative, like now I know how big my aura, like my force field is. Like my signature in space, I guess, like, and if there's people near me that are chaotic, chaos or negative, like that's impacting me. So, because I saw that, like I was like, I can't. So I got rid of those people in my life, and I just stayed by myself. And I started counseling. I went to therapy. Um, I got a therapist that was a depth psychologist, so she wasn't the traditional Western psychology and tell me I'm a magical thinker person. Um, and I processed that, like, about what was going on, but it didn't do the trick 100%. I'm gonna be honest. It's still not done. Like I'm still kind of um, grappling with it, because my entire life until 38, was one way, and then now it's not, and I can't unknow that stuff. Like I can't unlearn that. I can't unsee it, and it's like a curse, it's a blessing and a curse, right? um, and then on top of that, there's an enhanced connection with that side of things now. I've always had that, but I was trying so desperately to discredit that, and so desperately to avoid interacting with it, and like to just say these things weren't happening, despite like losing babysitters over it. Like things would happen in my house, and like daycare, the people that are watching my daughter would be like, I am not coming back here. There's weird stuff happening here. And I'd be like, what are you talking about? You're crazy. Like totally gaslighting them, telling them that they're, you know what I mean? Like I was desperate for it to not be true, because it's scary, because I didn't understand it. So that was enhanced like tenfold when I came back, and I just started, I started hearing things, and I was like, oh my God, I have like a tumor, or I have schizophrenia. I'm serious. Like because as a scientist, I have to rule out all of the possibilities before I even consider something else. And so I did. I went to USC in Southern California, and I got a 2-week long psych eval done. It cost me $5,000 to do it. And I had them do all the tests, all assessments, like scans of my brain, stuff like that. There was no tumor. There was no signs of schizophrenia. They ruled out any mental illness or disorder aside from trauma, like complex post-traumatic stress disorder. But that doesn't account for any of the things that happen at all. Like it just doesn't. So then I started to say, okay, maybe, maybe something else is going on here, but I still struggle with that to this day. There's a lot of this stuff that it still stresses me out. I'll be honest. Like it's stressful. And like knowing things when I shouldn't know them and trying to help people sometimes bites me in the ass. It really does.
Well, can you
You
give
know,
us an example of maybe something that didn't end negatively, but things that you know, things that you've
well, like
known?
it doesn't have to be a negative ending, but just like information that a person needs, right? Like so at Christmas I had family over and one of the people that was there I hadn't seen in a long time and they were going through some stuff. And like as they were telling me about it, I was like, I saw the situation. And I was like, well, did you, I think this is happening. And they're like, whatever. And they got like irritated with it. And then they left to go run some errands or something. And then they came back and they were mad at me. And I was like, what's wrong? And they're like, why do you always have to be right? Why do you always have to be right? And I found out like after they left my house, they had gotten a phone call and that phone call confirmed everything I just said to them, you know, and it was bad news, but it wasn't like something detrimental to their life. It was they needed to know this information to get them in a better position where they needed to be. It had to do with like a co-parent, right? Some situation like that, and now they have that evidence, and then they can move forward. But they were mad that I was right about it because it was not a good, it wasn't good, you know. But they ended up getting what was. They ended up in a better place because of it. But like that happens a lot. Like if I say something to somebody and they think I'm just trying to be drama, right? Like I'm telling you that because I'm just trying to like involve myself. Like, why would I want to do that? Um, you know, that I get that sometimes, or I get called a know-it-all because I say something and it happens, and then people are like, whatever, Anna, like you're just a know-it-all. And that sucks. Like that's not fun. And always it is kind of negative stuff. Like I don't ever see real good stuff. Not like I could like here's your lottery number. No, it's always like this is gonna happen. You know, it's something that's like important for the person, but it's always kind of like in a bad there's a theme of like you need to get this solved and here's what's the mechanism behind it, what's going on, and you need to attack it from that, and, like whatever it is, it's not pleasant. So that kind of sucks. And also just having like that kind of knowledge about things that I would rather not know about a lot, you know, or having people show up at my house I don't know who they are, like people. uh and then the next day I have someone booked for for a reading, and it's that person's relative, and like I didn't know that until they pop up on camera and they start talking about a person that they're trying to they hope I can contact, and I'm like, oh wait, and they start to describe him and I'm like, oh okay. So that bothers me because I don't really particularly care to be startled, and I still am startled. Like I don't care what other people say. Seeing ghosts, spirits, whatever you want to call it, in my house at 3 a.m. is scary to me. It's startling. It's not like, oh, hey, buddy, what's up? It's like, what's going on? Like, why are you in my house? Like, I always think it's a person at first, and then I have to realize, okay, they're not actually here. And it startles me. My husband gets so mad. He's like, calm down. You see this all the time. Why are you always so scared? Like,
I love that you're telling me this while you're in Mount Shasta. I gotta
I know.
say.
I know I don't really know the lore here so much, but my husband keeps telling me like, "Oh, we're gonna go find out. Like, we're gonna go
Oh,
do
good
this
Lord.
some like stuff." And I'm like, "Cool, let's do it." But yeah, the energy here is nice. It's definitely
Well, that's
you can feel
good.
it. Yeah,
Good.
but yeah, I mean, it's a blessing and a curse, I guess.
Well, let's talk about how your life shifted into noetic sciences. So, explain to everybody what that means, noetic sciences.
Okay, so if you're trying to like find research on supernatural things, you will never find it under the title supernatural. You're going to find it under noetic science or anomalous phenomenon or high strangeness. These are the terms that are used in academia. Okay, so noetic science is the study of science that science, normal mainstream science, rejects. Uh, because it doesn't fit into their little boxes, right? Like you can't quantify it with a machine or some measurements via the scientific method, which is the gold standard, which I call BS on. Okay, but anyways, it's they say that's a gold standard, but whatever. Okay, um, so noetic sciences are like magic. It's like magic, the stuff that we consider to be supernatural, but it's probably not supernatural. It's most likely just a form of nature that we have not yet figured out how to measure properly. And so there's a research institution, the Institute of Noetic Sciences, or IONS, and I had found out about them after I'd come across Dean Radin's work on magic, and I was like, "Ooh, this guy knows what he's talking about. This is great, and I want to get in on it." So I started like contacting them and asking if they needed volunteers, and I didn't get any response. But then one day I contacted and I said, "Hey, I think you might be able to help me. I had this experience, this crazy experience with some magic, Guatemalan folk magic. Can you tell me what this is?" And I explained to him what happened. And I thought he was going to say I was crazy, but he wrote back and said, "Oh my goodness, this is amazing that you witnessed this. This is Guatemalan folk magic. And I know exactly what you're talking about." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, finally I got an answer." And I said, I would love to volunteer. I volunteer for you. I'm a professor and a researcher, and I was a research scientist in neural engineering for Department of Justice or Department of Defense and for DARPA and NIH, like different grants associated with those projects. And I have skills. I could do it. And he was like, sure. Like just then someone contacted me from his lab and Satara, and she's been my point of contact ever since. And they asked me to write a curriculum if I had a curriculum for noetic sciences. And I was like, funny you should ask, because I had been working on a scientific supplement for a science curriculum for high school or college level that would show how magic is real, like what people consider magic is real via laboratory experiments that are that can be replicated with very minimal equipment or cost. And so I had already written half of it. And so when they asked me that, I was just like, absolutely. And I wrote the second half of it, and it's published now on their site, and it's free. So anyone can download it and use it, in their classrooms or just at home.
Wow. Well, you also got my attention when you said DARPA. So
Not that fancy.
what can you tell us about anything that you understood working in that organization?
Oh yeah, I was under I think 8 different contracts with them. So like once they vet you, it's like they keep using you because they've already vetted you. Started at UCLA when I was a research scientist in sleep research in 2002. And then we were doing MDMA studies for PTSD treatment, but I didn't know that, like, because it was classified, right? I only knew what I need to know to do my testing, which was immunohistochemistry. So I just did like staining of tissues and cutting slides of brain tissue. So it was nothing glamorous. Then I moved from there to HMRI, which is Huntington Medical Research Institute, and it's part of like Caltech in Pasadena. Um, and that place, it was immediately, I knew it was a DARPA contract, and I couldn't believe they told me what it was because never have I ever been told what it was. But I now know why they told me, because no one would have believed me ever, and they never did. It was telepathic soldier communications that I was working on. And now it's released as well. When they announced it, it was called Silent Talk. So you can Google that, it comes up right away. It was where they implant an electrode in one person's brain, literally a huge thing, and then another type in a different person's brain. And those people can now send binary code to each other so that they're not talking over comms to give away their like location, like radio chatter. It did not work when I was working on it. I was only doing one aspect of it, which again was the immunohistochemistry, staining, looking for whether or not the astrocytes in the embed, like where we embedded the electrode, if the brain was regenerating tissue or if it was dying. And so when I was working on it, and I ended in 2014, it was not working. But it has since I've learned, because it's become public knowledge now, that it does work. I don't know how much they're using it or not, but that's what I worked on.
Wow. So working in all these areas in the noetic sciences with the DARPA, what do you think you understand that maybe the rest of the public doesn't understand?
Science is a suggestion.
Let's say
That
that again.
science
Science
is a
is a
suggestion.
suggestion.
So, and let me explain what I mean. There has been countless times in history where science has to go back on itself and say, "Oh, we were wrong." Okay, science used to be the pursuit of curiosity and discovery. At some point, I think in the scientific age, right, like when science became the end all be all, we lost that curiosity and we started to say things like, we've already accounted for all of the things, and anything outside of this now that challenges our understanding of things is not real. And that drives me crazy because it is the antithesis of the spirit of science, right? Just because you can't understand it yet doesn't mean it's not real. And there's countless examples of this in over time in the scientific community where we say, no, it's not real. Science needs to stop saying that and say we don't know instead. Like that would be such a better way to answer it, because then you're not telling people that these people are witches because they believe something different. Like like people got killed for this kind of stuff. Like there are countless examples in history where people said a thing and then science was like, or the church was like, nope, heresy, and like those people would get killed for that. But then later it was found to be absolutely factual, like exactly the way the person had described it. Okay, that's a problem for me. I don't like that. And they're still doing this to us. It's getting better, But so science is like this idea that there's these things that are theories that have become law. I'm gonna tell you right now, if it's a theory, it means that we don't know, but this is our best guess right now, until other stuff comes up. And like people take it like as if it's gospel. And if you say anything that counters that, they will look at you like you're crazy, right? Until it becomes mainstream knowledge and like all the scientists agree on it. You know what I mean? And that's happening now with a lot of the quantum fields, quantum science that's coming up. The theoretical sciences, right? Because all science is theoretical too. Let me tell you, that's the other part of it. Everything's a theory. We're all working off best guess. Like we're all working off the best thing that we think we know to try to prove our point, right? So the scientific method is a way to backpedal our discoveries. Every major inventor, every major scientist, every breakthrough started with somebody getting some kind of divine inspiration. I don't care what you say. And that's the facts. That Tesla had visions, like he had dreams about things and he just was able to write them down. How did he get them to pass the smell test with science? He backtracked it and put it through the scientific method after the fact. That is how all of it's done. Whenever you try to do it the actual way they tell you to, it most often ends badly, like in the stuff doesn't get done. So major scientists, major accomplishments have all been attributed to people just knowing something. They just know it. They don't know how they knew it. They just know it, and then they run it through that testing. So that's why I say like I call BS on that scientific method.
I am curious. I have to ask this question. What is the biggest theory out there right now? We're in 2026 that's driving you crazy.
Everyone's gonna say I'm crazy, but evolution. I like no. So it's never made sense to me. We will never find the missing piece that they're looking for because it doesn't exist. I don't believe that's true. Because it would still be going on if that was the case, and it's not. Like we are distinct, separate creatures, like we're species, totally separate. We don't see this happening anywhere else. Also, the amount of DNA difference between humans and the second and seventh chromosome and the way that those are structured, which are a fusion of two chromosomes together into one, and with the telomeres in the middle of the cell, chromosome instead of on the edges, tells us that those things were fused together on purpose. Like that's how that looks when it's done in vitro. So I'm sorry, like that for me lets me discount it right off the bat. I'm not saying that something didn't happen. I'm just saying that the way that they've proposed it right now, to my understanding, and I've been doing research and science since I was a freaking kid. My grandfather was a scientist. But like professionally, since my first job as a microbiologist, I was 17. So from 17 until now, and I'm 47, for a very long time, I I keep up with this stuff, and the average person doesn't. Okay, so they can say, no, I learned that in my school books, but let me just tell you, your school books are written by who? By who? Who pays for it? Like, where's that coming from? What, like, I always look for the goal of like, who has interest in this stuff that we promote, right? I'm very critical of people. I'm very hypercritical, and I don't like it when I see money being placed places. And that is one of those things that I see there. And I think that it is a disservice to say that we're just like some, you know, happenstance of nature. I don't think any of this was by accident. I don't think any of this happened that way. It was carefully designed. And the more you know about science and how things are working together, the more you understand that this was not an accident. This was a plan. Like everything works so perfectly together that like the odds of it being an accident are like astronomical. Like it's not even possible. So that leaves open the space for divine intervention. Now, I'm not saying like God, like I'm not saying like the idea of God from the Bible. I'm just saying something created this. I don't know what it is, who it is, why, but there's no way that you could convince me that we all just came from apes. No,
Love
like
it. I'm so glad I asked this question, but I got another one now.
I mean, I'll get a lot of shit for this, but I don't
I don't
care.
care.
Yeah, I don't
No,
care.
this is great. No, I love these conversations. What this could be on a quantum level, it could be on a normal science level. What is just on the brink of coming out from science that you are really excited about?
Psychic ability in people. So I am so sick and tired of people saying, okay, first of all, 2/3 of the population believe in it in some capacity, right? But if you ask most people, they'd be like, no, that's not real. Okay. But almost everybody's had some level of experience with some kind of precognition or just, something like that happening, seeing someone after they died, but not knowing they died yet, like that kind of thing, like having some visitation or something. Like this to me, like just discrediting people all the time, or like maybe aliens too. I don't know about that. I don't know if they're from like, the outer space stuff. I don't know. But I'll say dimensional, sure. Like interdimensional stuff, I think that's a right coming out. I think most of us have already figured that out for ourselves. Like I think that it's something that's most people with common sense, and like, we know that like the government lies to us all the time, and they discredit people that have actual information. So they will go out of their way to say people are crazy. So I always look to the people that they're saying are crazy. Like, well, what are they saying? Because why are they going to this effort? Right. So I think I always suggest you guys do that too. Check to see who's trying to shut up who, and why. Like, why are they doing that? Like, so I think the alien thing, I think it's something else than what they're saying. And I think that the psychic thing is right on the cusp, because like there's research going on right now that is able to, and has been, by the way, has been able to prove this ability for decades, but they won't publish it. Like they just don't give it they never sees the light of day because it goes against the narrative. And at the end of the day, that narrative to me is that like if people were understanding how connected they actually are and how much power they actually have within them, if they knew how to use it right, they wouldn't be able to be controlled in the way that we are controlled, and like that would be dangerous for the powers that be. So they don't want it. They don't want to let that happen. So they control the narrative. That's my 2 cents. Call me crazy. Call me conspiracy theorist. I was just proven right by everything in those Epstein tapes. So come at me, like come at me. Like I'm serious. Like I see patterns everywhere. I am a pattern recognition junkie. Like that's what I do, and I see it playing out like over and over. Like who's winning, who's controlling the narrative, and why. That those things are. But even when they come out, there's still going to be the people that don't believe it. There's still going to be people that are like, I can't, and that's fine. No, you don't have to. If it's too much for you, that's okay. It's just that's okay. No hate, no shade. Just you can go ahead and stay over there like that. I can't unknow what I know. So, I don't know, maybe it would be nice to not know sometimes, but
No, I'm glad that you do know. And you and I had a really fun conversation before we started recording, and we both have a passion for telepathy. And we talked a little bit about that. You're actually doing some science work around this. If people have watched before, we've talked about telepathy tapes, which is the ability for non-verbal autistic children have proven, I think beyond a reasonable doubt, that telepathy exists, and they've given evidential information. I'm calling this the 4-minute mile of consciousness, because I think that once it's in the collective and people understand its possibility, just like we never thought somebody was going to run a 4-minute mile, and now all kinds of people have done that. I think telepathy is coming. And Anna, you had a super, I don't know if you'll share this. I'll edit it out if you don't want me to
fine.
say it, but you had such a cool experience. I think it was cool. I know you didn't think it was cool at the time on your
Yep.
campus
Yep.
with telepathy. And I think that this is just like a little teeny tiny glimpse as to what's coming. So, hey, everybody listening, better learn how to start cleaning up your thoughts. But
Right.
tell
Okay.
about this.
Okay. So this is when I was working at Glendale Community College in Glendale, California. This was like 2 years ago, and was I parked my car and I'm walking across the street in the crosswalk to get to class, and it's busy. There's a lot of people walking next to me, and there's a man. He's carrying a briefcase and he's wearing a suit. He didn't look like he really fit in the college people, vibe, right? And I didn't recognize him as a colleague, so whatever. I could tell he was like hurried, and he asked, "What time is it?" And I looked at him and I said, "Oh, it's 3:30," and he just stopped dead in the street, like, and he goes, "I didn't say that out loud." And I was like, oh, okay, well, it's 3:30. And he was like, what are you? Like, how did you hear that? Like, how did you know that? And he starts like just yelling at me and like telling me I'm like a witch, I'm evil, like doing the sign of the cross at me. And he starts to run away from me. And I mean, he's a grown man. And I was so confused because I was like, is he messing with me? Like, I heard him very clearly not me. He didn't ask me. He just said it out loud. And like, I answered him, and he freaked out, and it drew attention. I was highly embarrassed. It actually made me cry because how he was treating me was like I had the plague or something. Like it was, it was really upsetting. So I do caution, um, people, like, if you have an ability and you get a message about somebody, like be very careful how you deliver that message, because you could end up with somebody that's very much opposed to those ideas and that would very much consider you evil or like some agent of Satan. I'm not sure, but something like that. And that happened. And some of my students saw and they were like, what was that about, Miss Stone? And they were like, oh, we thought it was a joke when you said you're a witch. It's like, seriously, they made me laugh, which helped. But like, I'm not in the closet about that at all. Like now that I have my ability to be a doctor and a professor, like I don't have to hide like that I do certain things, practice a certain way. And that's nice, right? But it also hurts like when somebody just looks at me and immediately just attributes me with Satan. Like what?
Well, gosh darn, he was like decades late with that comment because that would have worked maybe when you were 13, but when you were doing the witchcraft stuff.
Yeah, like, but this was just like, I mean, and I heard it loud and clear. To this day, I have no clue whether or not he said it out loud or he was just messing with me. Like, but I could definitely see that being a thing going forward with that process. And I do like what you said about the 4 minute mile, right? Just like Nadia Comaneci, right? With the gymnastics, she did that roticola somersault, which was like unheard of. Now look at the stuff that those girls are doing on those bars. Like that's crazy, but someone always has to set the precedent, right? To show that
Yeah.
it's possible for other people to understand. Like belief, and Dean Radin says this all the time, belief is the number one thing that's necessary for any of this to work. If you don't believe in it, it's not going to work. There's an element of like delusional self-belief that's required. Like you have to know with all your being that like I can do this. And aside from like flying, because that just doesn't mesh with physics, right? Like aside from that, all things are pretty much possible. I mean, just look at when you shift your mindset about how you think of things, right? Like just a basic, if you're always glass half empty, you're going to be focused on all the negatives because that's the RAS system in the brain, the reticular assessing.
Activation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, that whole thing. And it searches for confirmation bias. It's constantly scanning your environment to reinforce your belief system. So if you start to change that and you start to say, okay, everything is good, suddenly you start having good coming to you. And it's like, it really works. I can't like tell you how that works actually, but I've done it myself. And I said, you know what? I'll try it. Let's see. Experiment. Worst case scenario is I'm no worse off than I am right now. Right. So
Well,
I
Anna,
suspend all judgment.
don't tell the bumblebees that they cannot fly due to physics. I think that
So
would burst a little
yeah,
bubble.
shit. Like, okay, thank you. My God. Okay, maybe we could. I'm not sure, right? Like, see, because there's always exceptions to rules,
Right.
right? There's rules and there's always exceptions. So, but if we believe in a thing enough, like it becomes real. It can become real. And that's, I mean, we can look at that. That's called egregores, right? Like that's everywhere. Like it's everywhere. We have that
Think what
all of
that's
the time.
called again?
Egregores. So like an egregore is a entity that's formed by the collective belief in it. So like
Oh,
Santa Claus for
yes.
children.
Okay. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. And like God for church. That kind of stuff. Like that is real. Those people, they believe it wholeheartedly and they get confirmation of it because they believe it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there is a huge thing to be said for believing in what you want to happen is already happening to you and then watch it happen to you. Try it. Try it. It's free.
No.
It's a free experiment you can do at home.
And this is why the placebo effect in medicine is a real thing that every drug that gets
Yep.
approved to be for sale has to overcome statistical significance against p-value of
Yep.
placebos.
That is correct. You are absolutely correct. And that, I mean, right there, you're tricking people with that because they think they're getting drugs, right? So if you can trick yourself in the same way and you can just suspend all of your earthly, like, that's not real kind of thinking, you'll be amazed at what you can actually accomplish. Like it's been my life for the past 4 years has been nothing but this. I have just continued to do this and it just keeps working. And I'm just like, okay, well, I'm gonna keep going for it then. And you could tell me whatever you want. I'm delusional, fine. Proof is in the pudding, man. Like you know what I mean? I've got things I can show for it, like literal, tangible things. So, come out
Absolutely.
and miss me with that,
Well,
I'm not,
I'm super curious for the people who are watching. I would love to hear from you in the comments. Like, what resonated the most? Was it Anna's NDE? Was it this talk about noetic sciences? Have you had one of these experiences where you knew beyond a shadow of a doubt it was real? I love to hear these things in the comments, so I'm super glad about that. But I would
um,
imagine, Anna, by now people are like, all right, where can I get this curriculum? How can
Mhm.
I work with you? You know,
Yeah.
where can I connect with you? So tell everybody how they can do that.
Okay, so the curriculum is on the Institute of Noetic Sciences website, and you have to navigate that site. I'm not exactly sure. It's like,
Okay,
I'll send you a link for it that you can put it
perfect.
for everybody. Um, and then, so my husband and I have a podcast on YouTube that is about spirituality and the occult, and we focus on ancient tomes like Babylonian, Mesopotamian magic, stuff like that, because this has been around forever. People have been doing this forever, and it's amazing the stuff that they knew that we suddenly now are finding out again. It's
Well,
like,
that's because it's
huh.
been hidden from us. What do you think is in the catacombs of the Vatican? Like, I just want to know.
I want to go in there.
The whole Alexandria library,
I
probably.
know, like that's why we got to get like that remote viewing, like we got to get that
Right.
protocol down. And you can do that. Ions has all kinds of interesting experiments that you can use on their website, and they're really fun. Like you should definitely check out those like things to see if you can like make the computer do a thing with just thinking about it. Those are really fun to do. But our podcast is called Discourse, but it's spelled with a V instead of a U because it's old
So
English. Like
spell it so people who
it's,
are
oh
listening.
gosh, DISCOVRSE. So discourse, but V instead of U. I'll put a link in there. And we talk to other practitioners. So because I'm a professor and I'm a practitioner, that's kind of a unique thing. We usually find people that are just practitioners or just academics, but I do both. So I have like practical and academic insight for these things, and we talk about interesting things, I think, anyways. And we have a nonprofit temple as well to help
What's your
people like kind of
nonprofit
go.
temple?
Yeah, because we're both ordained ministers in the esoteric faith. So we are
Wow.
helping other people get their ordained ministers licenses too, to help promote like, a more holistic spirituality within their communities, that isn't so rigid and like judgmental, I guess.
Yeah.
um, and and then I have my website. Like if anyone, I do readings for people, tarot readings, or sometimes I also get information from the other side. I can't really say I guarantee that because I never do guarantee it. If it happens, it happens. And I will, it's not like something I actually like serve. That's not a service you can buy, but that's sometimes it does happen when I'm doing readings, and that's at stoneesoteric.com. And I also do free readings for people because it's a crazy economy. And if you don't have money and you need an answer, I feel that because I've been in that situation. So every Sunday we have a live stream where I do free readings for people.
This is on
Um,
your YouTube channel?
yes, yeah, it's Sunday
Every
service. We
Sunday. So what time on Sunday do you do it?
12:30 p.m. Los Angeles time.
So Pacific. So
Yeah,
12:30
Pacific time. Yeah.
Pacific, 1:30 Mountain,
Hmm.
2:30 Central, and 3:30 Eastern on Sundays.
Yep. And it's like a 2 hour, it's an hour and a half, and the last half of the show is all my husband does like old school uh Arabic astrology charts for people, and then I do tarot readings for people. So if you are interested and you want to just check it out before you actually commit to having an appointment with me, that feel free. Please jump on there, ask questions. I'm happy to answer them.
How many people are joining your lives right now?
Like right now, I mean, it depends on. I don't really know because we're running on a whole bunch of different platforms, and he does that. But like, it's it's enough. It's enough. We're just starting, so it's like live a couple hundred,
Well,
I guess.
I'm asking because I'm kind of like, everybody get in quickly before it gets all filled up and there's like 100 people on there.
Well, we have like for our last initiation we just did a Isis Osiris initiation for our like the people joining our temple, and we booked that. It was completely full, and we have
Wow.
now a waiting list for that. And it's a self we guide. We don't like you. We give you the information and you do it like because it's not about being above you in a hierarchy. It's just like, here we have this information, this knowledge on how to do it. Here, well, let's give it to you, and you make it for yourself. Like, because it should be a personal relationship with God. Like you should have a personalized thing that works for you. Because
Yeah.
to me, religion's a one size fits all, and I don't think it fits everybody. And so we are trying to like get people to
Change
understand that
that.
like you don't have to just do that. There's other ways to be spiritual and to connect with that part of yourself.
Amazing. Oh, Anna, so I've got to ask you one last question.
Yeah.
What do you feel that you know for sure?
Mm. What I know for sure is that I died. That happened. And that I heard what the guy said when I was dead, and I shouldn't be able to do that. And I know that for sure, even if this didn't come from the near death experience, but it did. But even if it didn't, that the answer to every single damn problem in the stupid world right now that we're living in, it's crazy times, is to just stop and be nice to each other. Stop it. Just stop it. Like, knock it off. Mind your business. Stay in your lane. Be nice to each other. Stop going out of your way to find fault with other people. Like, everything that you hate about the person that you're upset about is a reflection of what you have wrong with you inside. Like, trust, you need to understand that. When people are hating constantly outwards, it's because they hate inwards and they don't want to deal with it. Get the help you need, get some therapy, come to terms with your childhood trauma and stuff, and stop perpetuating violence and judgment on people that have nothing to do with you. Like, it's stupid. And it's like, it's that simple. So if it's that simple, do it. Like, you know what I mean? That's it. Like, be nice. Stop it. We would stop all this stuff, all these wars, all this craziness. If you could just stop, keep your mouth shut when it doesn't apply to you, and go about your business without trying to harm people in the process. Like, really, it's that simple.
That's a mic drop comment.
Sorry.
No,
I
it
get
is. That's
irritated with it because it is like,
wonderful.
you know, so
Truth.
mad. But, hopefully more people will do it. All we need, I think, is about 51%, and then we'll be good, right?
No, I don't think it takes that many. I thought that there was a study there was a study in a college about the tipping point, and I thought
30.
it was like 21%. It's not even
Something's one.
51%.
Is it some,
I
you're
think
right.
it's
It's some near the one.
21% to
Oh,
flip the
man.
whole collective.
We're not there yet? Really?
No,
Come
we're
on,
not
guys.
there yet. But every
We
time we
need,
have a conversation like this, we get a little closer.
yeah. I mean, and it's simple. You think I'm full of crap, then try what I say at home. It's free. Do it and then prove me wrong. Like, come at me after you've tried it, though. Like, don't, I'm serious.
Yes.
I put that challenge out there. Try it. And
Yeah.
if it doesn't work, you're no worse off than you are now. And you can rub it in my face, but it's not going to not work. It's going to work. And then you're going to have to like deal with the fact that I was right, So
Oh my gosh, I love it. Well, Dr. Anna Stone, this has been such a fun, cool, amazing conversation. I feel so lucky to be able to have a conversation like this with somebody like you. And I want to thank you. Thank you so much for what you are doing to wake up the collective. It is so needed right now.
yeah, I couldn't think of doing anything else right now. Like, this is definitely something I know I was supposed to be doing, and I have always thought about it as a kid. And then this opportunity is here, and I'm taking it. And thank you for having me on. I'm so glad to talk to somebody else that knows what I'm talking about, from a first person perspective. And yeah, it was very fun to be on the show, and also elucidating. You gave me some key nuggets here that I gotta like process now.
I love it. Oh, that's what it's all about. And of course, this show is absolutely nothing without all of you who tune in to watch, to listen, and to share these beautiful experiences with somebody who needs it. And if you still have questions, you can join me for Wake Up Wednesdays live at 5 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Mountain, 7 p.m. Central, and 8 p.m. Eastern. Thank you, everybody, for watching. There's a reason you found this video. These stories awaken something ancient inside us. Hit subscribe and stay on the path with us.